class, we have discussed how we can able to handle the exception. If the exception happens in some particular line of instruction, the remaining instructions in the program will not execute. Remaining instructions in the program will not execute. It will disrupt the program execution flow and it makes the rest of the statements to execute. It will make rest of the statements to execute. Sorry, it will disrupt the execution flow and it will come out. But if we are handling the exception by using the 5 keywords, try, catch, finally, throw, throws are the keywords which we have for handling the exception. Try, catch, finally, we have throw, throws. By using those keywords, we are going to be handle the exception. Now, first we are using the try block. Whichever the code is having doubt that it may raise an exception during execution time. This part of code, what we have written, it may raise an exception during execution time. That code we are going to be write in the try block. Wherever we are writing the try block, immediately we have to write the catch block. Wherever we are writing try block, immediately we have to write the catch block. Otherwise, we are going to get the error. What is the relationship between try and catch? Why we have to write the catch block immediately when we are writing the try block? The code what we have written with the try block is raising any exception. Then the catch block is going to be executed. Then the catch block is going to be executed. See here, while we are dividing a number, we have taken this part into the try block. Okay. While if we are giving the input 10 and 5, it is going to give the result as 2. It is going to give the result as 2. That is fine. When we are giving the 10 divided by 0, then in that moment it is going to be raise the exception. In that moment it is going to be raise the exception. That too, exception we are giving it as a predefined exception. Sorry. We don't know which exception is going to be raised. Because of that, directly we have written exception and E is the object of that particular exception. And we are displaying the E here. Default exception message, it is going to be print. We'll see that. No exception. It is going to be print this. It is going to be execute this try block successfully without raising an exception. Because of that, catch block is not executing. If the code what we have written in the try block, if the code what we have written in the try block is not raising any exception, then it is not going to be execute the catch block. If the code what we have written in the try block is raising an exception, then the catch block is going to get executed. So this is a statement generally we have written outside of the try catch blocks. Now see here, we have given the input as 10 and 5, we got the result as 2. It means try block is executed successfully. Because of that, catch block will not execute. See, if I run one more time, 8 divided by 0. See, in this particular situation, in this particular instruction, it is raising the error. In this particular line, it is raising the error. Because of that only, we are going to be get this error, java.lang.arithmetic exception. So when it is raising the exception, immediately this catch block is going to be get executed. If it is raising this, if it is raising the error in this particular instruction, it is going to be execute this. The default information about that particular exception. That is, what is the arithmetic exception we got? So arithmetic exception also we can use. If we are aware of that, which exception is going to be get, we can use that arithmetic exception here, and that error message, it is going to be displayed here. Okay, so this is a default information, and I would like to give some information. Should not divide a number with 0. Do not divide a number with 0. This is the message I want to display here when the exception occurs. When the exception occurs, instead of java dot some error message divide 0, I would like to display that should divide a number with 0. I would like to get this. Should divide a number with 0. Should divide a number with 0. That information is going to be displayed for us. There is a user-defined message regarding that particular exception. Previously, I used to display this by default one. If you want, we can also use that. When we'll be getting that. Divide a number with 0. Divide a number with 0. Java.lang. Arithmetic exception divide by 0. That is because of this line we are getting as output in a sense. Because of this, we are asking to print a E here. That is arithmetic exception. We got this message. Multiple catch blocks also we can write. Multiple catch blocks also we can write. How we can write this? For one try, multiple catch blocks we can write. Multiple exceptions it should occur. Array as A. I'm declaring the array size as 5. I'm declaring the array size as 5. Sorry. I'm declaring the array size 5. Multiple catch blocks we can give for a single try. Multiple catch blocks with a single try block. here with the try block. F5 position, F5 position, we are giving some value. Suppose without try only, I'll write. F5 position, if I'm giving some value here, statement at the last. Okay. So here we are going to be get the exception. That is array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds exception. Now see, I'm placing the try block. This one. And the catch block. I know here arithmetic exception and the object I have taken as E. So why actually this is array index out of bounds exception, right? This is a array index out of bounds exception. When we have the array size as 5, array size is 5, we are going to be store the elements from 0 to 4 indexes only. Fifth index, we are storing the element in a sense, the array should have 6 elements. The array should have 6 elements. See, array index out of bounds exception. We are aware of that, which exception is going to be raised. See, I have written one catch block with the arithmetic exception, and I have written another catch block with the array index out of bounds exception. So which one is going to be occur first? That try block, that related catch block will execute. With the code, we have in the try block which exception occurs first, that related catch block will execute first. The related catch block will execute first. See now, arithmetic exception I have given, array index out of bounds exception. It is going to be raise the array index out of bounds exception. See, for one try block, I have written two catch blocks. For one try block, I have written two catch blocks. Okay. Now, which exception is going to be occurs? That related catch block is going to be executed. Either it is a first one, or it is a second one, or it is a fifth one. Any number of catch blocks we can able to write. Depends on our requirement. Now it is going to be raise the error related to array index out of bounds exception. Catch block of array index. Every word first letter should be capital letter. There is a predefined one. Catch block of array index out of bounds exception execute. Something I'm going to be right for our understanding purpose. Anyhow, we are getting E there. So we are printing E, the object of that particular exception. But still, why I'm writing some messages for our understanding purpose. catch block of arithmetic exception. So here array index out of bounds its related catch block will execute this array index out of bounds exception. That related message catch block of array index out of bounds exception is going to be executed, and then statement at the last it is going to be gives the output for us. Any doubt in this?
No, sir.
Let's suppose. Yeah. So this exception is going to be occurs here. We are getting this catch block to be executed. Either this catch block is available for us at first, or this catch block is available for us at last. It doesn't matter. Wherever it is available, its related catch block only is going to be executed. Its related catch block only is going to be executed. Right now, I'm going to give like this. First, it is going to be raise the arithmetic exception. Because of that, first it is going to be executes the catch block related to the arithmetic exception. Here, there is a chance of getting array index out of bounds exception as well, and arithmetic exception as well. When both we have, which one will execute? When both we have in the first, in a single statement, which one is going to be execute here? Which one will execute? After or right side of the equal to operator, sorry, right side of the assignment operator, whatever we have here, that will executes first. Right side of this assignment operator, what we have? Number divided by 0. That exception is going to be occur, and its related catch block will executes now. That's related catch block will executes now. Got it? So after completion of this only, it is going to be execute the array index out of bounds exception. Here again, 10 divided by 5, it is going to be generate the result as 2. Because of that, it is not going to be raised the arithmetic exception. Instead of that, array index out of bounds exception, it is going to be occurs. Array index out of bounds exception occurs. It will divide a number, and while assigning that result to array will occur the rises. It will rise it. Array index out of bounds exception we are getting. Okay. Now we'll have a finally statement. Example with finally keyword. Finally is not mandatory. Finally is not mandatory. When we are writing try block, catch block is mandatory to write immediately. Catch block is mandatory to write immediately. But this one, catch block is not mandatory to, sorry. When we are writing try block, catch block is mandatory to write. And when we are writing the try catch, finally block is not mandatory to use. And one more thing, when the try block code is raising an exception, when the try block code is raising an exception, then its related catch block is going to be executed. If the try block code is not raising any exception, then the catch block will not execute. See, means if the catch block has to execute in a sense, it is completely depending on the try block. It is completely depending on the try block. When the try block is raising exception, then only the catch block will execute. If the code what we have written in the try block is not executing, sorry, if the code what we have in the try block is not raising exception, catch block will not execute. But finally is not like that. Whether the code we have written in the try block is raising exception or not raising exception also, the finally block is going to be executed. See here, I'll write this. And it is not mandatory to write each and every time when we are writing try catch. When we are writing try, immediately we have to write catch. And it is not mandatory to write finally after writing of each and every try catch. It's because we can write. It doesn't depends on the code it is executing with the try block. Finally block will execute always. Finally block will execute always. The finally block will execute always. Whether it is raising exception or if it is not raising exception, also the finally block will execute. We'll see here as well. So here divided number with zero exception will occur. Here also finally estimate yeah, we have written this. Now if I'm executing this, divide by zero error, we are going to be get. See, result is 2, finally block will execute. That the catch block is not executing. Finally block. If the type block code is raising exception or not, also finally block will execute. Here it is not raising exception. With the input we are providing, it is not raising exception. If we provide the input, I'll run the code one more time and I'll give the input so that it will get the exception. Even though if it is raising the exception, the catch block is executing here. Again, the finally block will execute. Again, the finally block will execute. Whereas here as well, definitely any catch block is executing also, we are going to be get the output here. Finally block will execute always. Finally block will execute always. Okay. Okay. And now we have discussed try, catch, finally. We have throws left. throws left, and we will discuss few more scenarios where we'll be getting the exception. See, we have discussed this scenario where we'll be getting the arithmetic exception. When we are dividing a number with the zero, when we are dividing a number with zero, we are getting this arithmetic exception. In this particular situation, we are getting the arithmetic exception. Null pointer exception, when there is a chance of getting this exception is when we are having the string variable s1 and we are providing the null value to it. If we are performing some task like length of that particular string s1, we'll be getting this null pointer exception. Array index out of bounds exception we have discussed already. And file not found exception. File not found exception in a sense, just we are going to be discuss about the file handling. We are going to discuss about the files. Whenever we are getting this file handling concept, we will see that type of exceptions. If the file is exist and if we are opening the file to perform some operations is fine, it is going to be the task as what we have written. If the task we want to perform and the file is not exist, then it is going to be raise the exception, file not found exception. That and all we will discuss in the coming sessions. Okay, throws and all we will discuss in the coming sessions.